Hello, my sweet friends, and welcome to 2026. How ironic that this is how I'm showing up in my very first video of the new year. I am getting a 72-hour in-home EEG. They came about 6:30 p.m. last night, so I will wear this until Thursday at about 6:30 p.m. And I have to stay in my room for a majority of that time. I can go out for like 15 to 30 minutes every handful of hours to like cook or whatever, but I wanted to bring you along with me and also to show you how I prepared for this because my husband will be at work every single day. And so I stocked up my freezer and so anyway, I recorded some videos of doing that. So I'm going to pop those in here, but let's do this. Alrighty, we are kicking it off with a roasted veggie soup. This is something that I make nearly every single week because of how simple it is. And I basically just select all of the leftover veggies that I have in my fridge and I put them on a sheet pan, cover them with olive oil and a little bit of salt and pepper. Sometimes I'll throw in some fancy herbs like you saw here today. I think those were some leftovers from the new year. So I did sage, thyme, and rosemary. And I just put the sage, thyme, and rosemary under the celery so that it doesn't burn while it's in the oven and all the juices from the celery can kind of just trickle down on there to make sure that it's nice and soft. And I just bake this in the oven at 375 for about 45 minutes to an hour. That's how long it takes those garlic bulbs to completely roast. And then I'll just let it cool for maybe like 10 to 15 minutes, or I'll go and do a handful of other things and come back a little later. And then I just throw everything in the blender. Of course, I make sure to take all of the herbs off of the stems and I squeeze out all of the little garlic cloves from the bulb. Pop it into the blender with some of your favorite veggie stock or chicken stock, whatever you want to use, and then just cover it with water. Give it a nice little blend for a few seconds. I did end up adding more water to this, so just a heads up on that. It's really whatever you choose. After it's blended, I'll throw it into these little super cubes, which is basically just freezing individual portions of this soup. Next up is the berry jam that I shared with you guys a couple of weeks ago. This could not be any easier. As you see, I just threw those blueberries right into the pan with a little bit of vanilla extract and some cinnamon. And then I do about like a tablespoon probably of maple syrup. And then I just let that bad boy simmer. I put a lid on it. Oh, I forgot. I also added a little bit of salt. But yeah, give it a little stir around, pop a lid on it, let it simmer. I usually do medium low. I think it's probably like 10 minutes, but you'll start to notice when the blueberries or whatever berry you're using starts to break down. And then at that point comes my favorite part, which is the thickening. And we're not using cornstarch, we're not using any of those other weird powder situations. We're going to use chia seeds. I just eyeball this as you can see, so I probably did a tablespoon and a half. Give that a simmer for a couple of minutes, and then it is all done. So this is what it's going to look like when you are reaching that final stage. You can tell that it's starting to thicken up a little bit, and just know that chia seeds are going to continue to thicken this liquid once it's in the fridge. So just go ahead and put it into a glass jar or a storage container. And I like to use this on toast. I put it in oatmeal, probably the most. And then later in this video, you'll get to see me use it with some chia seed pudding, which is absolutely delicious. I love how vibrantly purple this is. Now that we've got those things prepped, it is time to re-enter what I have coined as the Zen Den for this week. Being stuck in the bedroom for 72 straight hours with a handful of breaks can really do a toll on your mental health. So I made sure to have lots of activities and, low stimulation activities, of course. So I just popped on some central nervous system calming music on Spotify, which I really loved. I had my coffee in bed. I did daily meditation and journaling. I had all of my meals in bed, which either myself or my husband would prepare. And it was absolutely perfect. It was super relaxing. All right, I am back. I have just been chilling for a little bit. I'm starting to watch season 19 of Married at First Sight. Just need some brain numbing content to get me by. Anyway, I made these as prep, but then we ate them because they are that good. This is one of my favorite, very healthy, nutritious snack to make and keep in the freezer. It's basically edible vegan cookie dough. It only uses 6 ingredients, and so I'm gonna put all that together in this bowl. Then I'm gonna mix it, and I'm gonna take it to the bedroom with me. Oh my God, because that's where the camera is, right? And I'll scoop out individual little cookie sizes, put them on here, put this whole sheet tray into the freezer, let them freeze, and then they last several months. I was gonna double the recipe, but I don't have the energy today, so we're gonna keep it simple, and they'll be nice and perfect by this evening. The texture is mwah. So let's do it. I think I shared with you guys that we make our own almond milk for our coffee lattes, and the only ingredient is almonds. But after we make the almond milk, which is pretty frequently, we have a lot of pulp left over, and so we dehydrate that and then blend it up into almond flour. So that's what you're seeing in this big jar here. And so I found this recipe that it was edible cookie dough, but the recipe called for oat flour, which I typically will make from just rolled oats. But because I have so much almond flour, that's what I've been using in this recipe, and it works beautifully. I completely love it. I do think if I were to use almond flour, it might be a little bit less grainy and a little bit more smooth, but I don't mind it at all. And especially when you put it into the freezer, the texture just becomes absolutely phenomenal. If there's one thing that I recommend that you make, it is hands down this cookie dough recipe. I think there's 5 or 6 ingredients, super simple, and they last forever in the freezer. And while I'm in here, I'm also going to put together a quick snack because again, I can only be out of the room for about 30 minutes at a time. So I just cut a slice of sourdough, half a slice, popped it in the toaster oven. I'm going to put some of this Trader Joe's vegan cream cheese on it. It's delicious. Then I'm going to have that with probably like a quarter of a fatty beef stick situation for a little protein, carb, whatever the other piece is. Protein, carb, anyways. Yeah, I'm gonna take that all back to the bedroom and scoop up the cookies. See you guys in a bit. Okay, I literally already did these while I was waiting for my bread to toast. It took me like 45 seconds because the dough is just so easy and nice to work with. My breath. But I'm gonna pop these in the freezer. I've still only been out here for about 15 minutes, so I should be well under the 30. We were a little bit nervous about my mental health going into this because I do not like feeling trapped. And when you are chronically ill, you feel trapped quite a lot. So I think having these nourishing meals and setting myself up for success helped a ton. Day 2 up in here. I did change finally. I realized I'm wearing the same thing that I wore yesterday, only opposite. But I don't have very many loose neck shirts, which need to go over this electrodes, the wires pack. Anyway, I'm having a little snack and I wanted to show it to you because it's one of the other things that I prepped, which is a chia seed pudding. Clearly I'm having a rough day. Holy guacamole. It's a chia seed pudding with almond milk. Sounds absolutely disgusting, but I'm obsessed. And I mixed in some of that blueberry jam that I made in this video as well. So this is what it looks like. I like to serve it with a little bit of vegan yogurt, and obviously spoons were low, and I just hacked off a piece of a banana rather than slicing it up. I also really love granola on this, so This was the 3rd and final day, which also was interesting because this was my last meal before I started fasting for a hydrogen breath test. More to come on that. Woohoo! I'm free. She just had me like completely cut these wires. It was terrifying. But anyway, I did it.